with just a couple of continuous lights for some self-portraits. Was thinking about this weekly challenge theme of mood and had a quick idea. So I thought I'd just take a moment to do a quick edit of those photos. And I thought, why not do a screen recording and just kind of show you how I'm going to select the best one. So here I'm importing the raw files that I've copied to my computer. I normally like to add a keyword or two. In this case, I'm going to put selfie and self-portrait. I'm also going to include the lights that I used, which of course I can't remember the name of the aperture light right now, but I can add that later. But I'm going to add aperture, and I'm going to add Profoto and C1 Plus because I know that the name of that one. Anyhow, keywords come in super handy for a lot of things down the line, like when you publish them or when you want to find them in your Lightroom catalog. So I'm going to import, I'm doing smart previews, so when I copy these onto an external drive, I can quickly take them off of my desktop and be able to add them into my external drives. So today I had this really brief idea of playing with these super small portable continuous lights that I have. And these are going to not be the best portraits ever, but I was thinking about mood and wanting to play with color. And these are just two small continuous lights. And so here we are. So I'm just going to take a quick peek. And my process includes culling the photos. So just kind of like a quick look to see what photo looks like it makes sense or is the best. So generally I take 2 to 3 passes to get through this. So this one I kind of like. It's definitely moody. I'm a Smurf. My hair is orange. It's wonderful. This one I don't like as much because I can see the shadow of the light itself in the background. So I'm going to rate that one a little bit lower. I'm going to rate this one a little bit lower. I kind of like the super glowy orange side of this, but there's a big reflection in my glasses, but that is maybe something I can fix. So I'm going to make this a 4. Here I move the angle of my face a little bit, so now the reflection is less. So I'm going to make that a 4 as well. Here I'm a little green. That's okay. Playing around with it. Still don't like that reflection in the glasses, so I'm going to make that there. The easiest way to solve reflection in glasses is to take them off. However, as a photographer, it's better to move your subject around or move the lights around so you can avoid the glare and reflections. This one's definitely a little bit moody, so I'm going to kind of make that a 4. Here I'm being super goofy. Here I'm a little purple. I just started playing around with different colors. I'm not sure I like this one. This one I'm a little bit pink and still orange on the side. I'm going to make this a 4 here. Maybe I'll make this a 4 too. This one I started to kind of normalize the main light a little bit, but I've got that pesky reflection in my glasses, so I'm going to make that a 3. Here I took my glasses off. I'm going to make this a 4. I'm going to make this a 4. Oh, I'm so goofy in that one. We'll make that a 5. And then look how quickly the expression changes. I kind of like the mood here. And here I'm just looking down just for something different. So that's my first pass. I'm going to go to my filters. And so out of this, I have 3 5 stars. I'll look at the 4 stars and see if maybe there's something that I kind of like. Like I find this one a little bit interesting. That one's certainly dramatic. I can also play with the color a little bit and just see if I get something I like. This one's fun because I'm being goofy. This one I'm still not on the fence about. So I'm just kind of scrolling through. Like, I don't know if I really like that. It's goofy, but I'm not 100% sold on it. I think this is kind of one of my favorites. So what I'm basically trying to get down to is instead of editing every photo I shot, I'm going to edit the 1 or 2 that I think I like the best. And everybody's opinions are different, but it's a self-portrait of me, so I'm going to pick the one that I like the best. So in this instance, I think I'm going to play around with this one. So now I'm going to pop into the develop mode, and since I shot this on a Fuji camera, I typically go in and look and see how some of the Lightroom versions of the Fuji simulations look. This is the Astia, so a lot of people use Astia for portraits, but I'm a little too green in it. I can fix that, but I want to always see what Classic Chrome looks like. So as you can see, Classic Chrome kind of mutes colors a little bit, and I like Classic Chrome for skin tones. Again, you're only going to have access to this if you're shooting with a Fuji camera. So I'm going to start with Classic Chrome because I still have that funky orange glow on my hair, but I like the tone of my skin a little bit better in this. So here I'm just going to play around with white balance a little bit. I'm going to warm that up. I might bring the exposure up just a scotch, just a little bit, just to see what we get. I have my highlight and shadow clipping on, and right now, like, there's no blown highlights or too dark shadows, so I really like that. Came out pretty good. I normally take a moment and play around with the tone curve just to see what that does, and that really makes that background super dark. So I might actually not use that in this instance. I do like my images to be a little bit more contrasty, so I'm probably going to play around with contrast a little bit. Um, and then I might pull the shadows back up just a hair. And this will be something that'll actually look pretty good cropped square. So I think I'm going to do that. Get rid of some of that negative space. I feel like I'm scared in this photo. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a moment and play around with the HSL panel. I think I'm going to pull some of the green tone out of this. That should help normalize the skin a little bit. And then I tend to play around with skin tones just a little bit just to see how things are going to look. So typically I'll pull the yellows and the oranges back just a little bit to just even out the skin tones. And here I'm going to bring that exposure up just a little bit more. And here's my before and after. And that's kind of a basic edit. So I think that one's pretty moody. Looked like I had a rough day. I'm going to go back to this super goofy one. Since the color is so vibrant, I just want to take a second and show how I might deal with the intensity of the color. So these little splotches of blue that you see are the shadows. So that's indicating the shadows are pretty dark there. So I'm going to pull the shadows back a little bit. And when you're playing with super vibrant colors, I tend to actually pull the contrast back a little bit. If we push the contrast too much, it can start to look kind of fake. So in these kinds of instances where I'm playing around with colored light or gels, I tend to pull the contrast back just a little bit. There's a fair bit of negative space, so I'm going to crop this in a little bit, not a full square like I did on the last one, but I'm just going to pull it in a little bit because why not? Get rid of a little bit of that negative space. How goofy am I? Here I'm going to try a tone curve and see what that looks like. For color photos, I tend to play around with the medium contrast, and for black and white, I tend to look at the high contrast version. So when I added that tone curve, it did make my shadows a little bit darker, but that's okay. I'm going to bring that back. I'm going to play around. So as I make the white balance warmer, look at how crazy that looks. I literally look kind of green. So I'm going to pull the color temperature back just to a little bit, kind of where it started. I kind of like the teal with the orange. It's a little bit different and funky. So here I could also play around with the saturation of the colors. You can see how it's desaturated a little bit. I can make that orange a bit more intense. It's probably pulling in some reds as well. I can also go into the luminance and make that red more intense, or even the aqua more intense. So that's kind of a basic edit. So here we have before and after. If you just look, you'll see kind of the tones are just a little bit more even in the after shot there. So that's a quick edit of just a couple of photos. And hopefully the time-lapse video I did of my lighting setup will be useful and pretty comical for you to look at. So yeah, anyhow, there's a quick edit.